Hey, you guys. I am here for you. I'm excited to see you today. If you are coming to me from anywhere, though, look at my collar. I gotta get dressed. Who dressed me today? Oh my gosh. How's that? A little better? So we have a Palomino girl. Hello there from Ithaca. And Peggy, it's great to have you. Happy New Year to you from Southern California, where my gosh, you guys had the waves. Have we not been in crazy mode? It's like waves in California a couple weeks ago that were insane. Yesterday, blizzards. We had a blizzard here. Fortunately, it's not devastating for us, but being on the mountain, we can get stuck and life is not so happy. My skid steer, because I was a big yellow Caterpillar skid steer. My skid steer, we started it yesterday and it was like screaming and I thought it was about to explode. So fortunately, we've got somebody to come out and repair it. And then, I mean, did you see the videos of Amarillo with blizzard conditions, and then poor Gatlinburg, the eastern Tennessee rivers are just going crazy, and from all of that cold and rain, the tornadoes in Florida. So my gosh, let's get 24. Let's get all that out of the way and get going with 2024. Good to see you guys. I see a whole bunch of you guys. So there's no way I can say hi to you, but I am looking over in the list and seeing everybody that's popping in. We're going to have a nice visit today. I just want to tell you about kind of my time in La Vida. So this is just a little recap of my world. I started quilting in St. Louis in 1991. Let's jump forward now. 9 years. It's 2000. I ended up having quadruple heart bypass surgery. I'm almost 24 years old, you guys. So in 2000, I had that surgery, and that prompted me to move to Colorado. And then I was in the Denver area for 3 years, and we found this beautiful little place in southern Colorado. And I moved to La Vida, Colorado, which is in the south central part of the state. It's right where the mountains start. We are literally 15 minutes from the interstate on to the east and 15 minutes to the first mountain pass on the west. And so La Vida is just tucked into those mountains. It is a town of about 800 individuals. It's not a lot of people. But the one thing that La Vida has done over the years since I've been there, it's this. It kind of goes up and down and up and down. It thrives and then it kind of dies and thrives and then it dies. Well, it's been thriving now for the last maybe 4 or 5 years with art galleries and wonderful little shopping opportunities. We have art shows. There's a ski mountain that's closed, but right now they're actually getting it reopened and taking people up on a snowcat and then letting them ski down. So it's kind of a fun place to be. And I mentioned that to you at the top because it's going to relate to the interview that I've got to share with you today. So I bought a building in La Vida to kind of be my home, not my house where I live, but my business home, where I did workshops and we had dye studios. And most of you know that I've dyed fabric forever. And then, shipping and warehousing, of course, if you had products, we could ship those out and our offices were there. We were not a brick and mortar store. It's just a place to do workshops, and it's where we had our offices. So last year, 13 months ago, I sold that building and rented for a year, and then I vacated that building about 2 weeks ago. So I am completely out of the building. I've shut down my online store for physical products. We are redoing that so I can sell, digital patterns, digital music, digital books, and things like that. So there's no shipping charges at all, but there's no more hand-dyed fabric. That's kind of gone from my world, at least for now. So life is changing, and I think we have to change with it. I want to report briefly that Cordelia, the Great Dane, a lot of you will have followed my story on Facebook. And Cordelia is in a wonderful home, 6 miles, just 6 miles from me. She's in another mountain place. She has acres to run if she wants to. She has a Schnauzer playmate. They're best friends. She is happy as she can be. And if I wanted to go see her, that 6 miles would take me an hour and 20 minutes to drive because we have to go all the way around a mountain, through a pass, and then around another mountain to get there. But she's in really good hands. We miss her dearly. And Barley and Rosie, they're here with us, and we love them dearly, and they're doing great well. So I'm just giving you a report on that. Jonathan and Beth, that I'm going to be sharing with you today, they were our next door neighbors in Levita at the building. They have a gallery called Shalawala, and Jonathan and Beth are batik artists. I'm going to let them tell you their story today. And then I'm going to, I know there's a lot of hellos coming in, but as we get to the end of this, you might have questions. So if you do, put those questions in, and I will come back and do the best that I can to answer those questions for you. So, I've given you a few minutes to get in, told you a little bit of my story. Today, after all the blizzard and craziness of the last 2 days, I'm back in the saddle, and it's a beautiful sunny day here on the mountain. Oh, let me just tell you briefly about the quilt that's behind me, because I know somebody's going to want to ask about that. This quilt that's behind me was made by one of my best friends from college. Her aunts and grandmothers hand-pieced a lot of quilts, all right? And they didn't, honestly, I'm sure they finished some of them, but when they passed, there were a bunch of those, and my friend Susan just gave these to me. So these have been quilt tops now for years. I've had them since maybe 93. That's a long time ago. So for maybe 31 years, they've just been here. And with my Q-matic, my Bernina Q-matic, and my machine, I'm getting to get some of these things finished. I put the border on this one, and you can see off to the side there, I've got some binding ready to go. So that one's quilted and ready to go. Some double knit polyester fabrics in there, some broadcloth, but it's really fun to see these old quilts finally get finished and get an opportunity to be loved and used. And I know that makes you feel good too, because we do, really do. We have a lot of us have quilt tops, and sometimes it's just almost daunting to see how many quilt tops we have, and they have to get finished. So my big thing is to get quilts finished, and I've probably finished with my dad's quilts and this one, a couple of others that I've done. I've probably done maybe 15, 16 quilts since July of this past year. So that's making me feel real good. All right, so now Jonathan and Beth are my next door neighbors in Levita, Colorado. This is going to be what is called the Year of the Batik. The Year of the Batik, keep that in mind as we move forward. I'm hoping that I can share more about Jonathan and Beth, but you guys, it's not a long interview. This is going to take about 18 minutes, but it's going to knock your socks off. You're not going to believe this has been my neighbors now for several years. I will miss them dearly, but I get to go and visit anytime I want to. So get ready for this. This is Jonathan and Beth. Here we go. Choose a file. Sorry, I got to find the file, of course. And 1, 2, 3. Here we go. So I'm here with Jonathan and Beth. You guys have been my neighbors now forever. When did you open this studio?
2012.
2012.
Mm-hmm.
2012.
Was 14.
Time flies. And I got the gallery next door in 2005, and it has been such a joy because you're fabric artists, and I'm, quilt artists, and my students would come to the workshop, and I go, oh my gosh, you've got to go see the batiks next door, and they're like, oh, and they're just like chomping at the bit to go and buy fabric to make their quilts, but that's not what we do around here, right?
Only a little bit.
Only a little bit.
Yeah, only recently did I start making fat quarters, and I only have 3 left, so...
three fat quarters.
I need to get busy.
Well, no, they may just have to go home with me, actually. So, all right, so you guys, I want to talk about batik in general. It is an art form. Quilters know it to, be kind of a process to make a certain style of fabric, and quilters absolutely love it. But it is not really what you do, nor is it really what the tradition of batik is. So, Jonathan, what are the roots of batik, and how is that? How does it get started?
Well, it's practiced in a lot of different countries. They seem to think it came from Indonesia originally.
Okay.
Batik means drops.
Drops.
Referring to drops of wax.
Okay.
But it's also done in Thailand, it's done in Malaysia, very big in Malaysia, a part of the national heritage, art heritage. It's done in Africa, there's a version of it. The colonies brought it to Europe. So it was in Holland and England and these other countries. It's not very much known in America.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that sort of has been an issue for us all along. We have so many people coming in and saying, Batik, never heard of it.
But can we date it? How far back would this?
They think a couple of thousand
years.
Seriously?
Well, they found examples of it in Egyptian tombs.
So even in Egypt,
which is a piece of cloth. Right. Surviving for 2,000 years is something if you think about it.
Okay, I want to ask each of you individually. I'll start with Beth. How did you get involved in batik as an artist? Or is that where you started?
It is not where I started. I was a painter, and I lived in Katera, Colorado, and I was painting, and I was doing hand painting clothing in my little shop that I had up there. And then I started dyeing the cloth. And then I thought, what is that thing I did in 7th grade with the wax?
Oh my gosh.
So I melted some candles and started playing around with it.
Okay, now, had you met Jonathan by this
No,
time?
no.
So you're doing
This
that.
was a long time before.
Okay, all right.
This was late 80s.
Late, and Jonathan, did you start as an artist, as a batik artist, or where was your roots?
I was always an artist. My mother was an artist.
Painting, watercolor?
Or everything. I tried everything.
Okay.
1970, I was teaching before that. One of my fellow teachers came in from Malaysia with a little piece of cloth, and he said, "This is batik. They do it in Malaysia. They do it with wax and dyes." And I looked at it, and it was a house with a guy walking over a bridge, a typical tourist piece of batik. And I looked at it, and I thought, I see how it's done. It clicked instantly with me. I did it with young kids. We did Grateful Dead T-shirts with peace signs and skulls and crossbones and all that. Then I forgot about it. Then in 1970, I went to live in Spain. I had to come up with a new career. I was trying all kinds of different art. And I remembered batik. I batiked one shirt and it sold instantly. And that was a powerful incentive to make a second.
Sure, absolutely.
And a fifth. And 60 years later, I'm still doing it.
Oh, that is fabulous. All right, now I need to we all have to know a little bit of a story how 2 batik artists on opposite sides of the earth.
She'll tell you that.
Okay, all right, here we go.
Good story.
Well, I was looking online. I had just gotten a computer. So it was about in 2000, 2001. And I looked up batik artists, and I found Jonathan, and he was doing batik's portraits, and I couldn't believe that he was doing these beautiful portraits, let alone in batik. So I wrote to him, and he was at his house in India at the time, and so we didn't write a lot because he didn't have very good internet connection. But we ended up emailing for almost a year, and then decided we wanted to meet, and I flew, and we had a big blind date at Heathrow Airport.
Oh my word!
And we've been together ever since.
Sign saying,
That's fabulous. Well, I mean, you're both wonderful friends. You're both wonderful people, and I can see how that instant connection just exploded. It was fabulous. Yeah. Well, so all right, let's talk about. You mentioned Jonathan's portrait batik. So, Jonathan, let's talk about this one. All right, because it is a portrait batik.
I bought a house in a small Himalayan village in North India. Maybe 100 people in the village, and I set out to draw and batik everyone in the village, which I ended up doing.
Wow.
The one we're talking about is Tan Singh, who's the guy who sold me my house in that village.
Oh.
And he's an old soldier, a total drunk, always immaculate, twirling his moustaches and beautifully in traditional Kumaoni. This is the Uttaranchal Kumaon that we live in, a Kumaoni dress. He became a great friend. In the end, he kind of ran us off with his drinking. We couldn't handle it after a while. But I ended up doing nearly everybody in the village.
I think this has to be one of those things when people are looking at this, though. This is whenever you guys, this is what I'm talking about. The batik is like you've never seen before. It was eye-opening for me too when I met you guys.
It's not practiced by. I think Beth and I are truly doing something original. There are a couple of other artists in the world I know who are doing this kind of work, but nobody has done portraiture as I have. Nobody has moved into Pointalism and divisionism and this extraordinary technique that Beth is doing. Sure. I can't do what she does.
Yeah,
I haven't got the patience.
So Beth, you do very much Pointillism, and let's talk about the landscape that we're looking at here, because this is very much in your style.
Yeah, and it's a local scene, so it's the West Spanish Peak from the east side, and it's the fall. And I started doing Pointillism it's been probably 15 years ago. It's very time consuming. So instead of covering areas of color with wax, with large areas of wax, I'm doing dots of wax over layers and layers of color. And so with batik, you start with the lightest color, which usually is the white cloth. And then you work until you get to black or the darkest color you're going to use. And so I like doing the pointillism because I can get a good shading, and I've always loved pointillist paintings and the luminous effect you can get off of it. And so that's always my goal with them. Whether I achieve it or not is another story.
No, you every time. It's amazing, yeah. Beth. It really is.
It really introduces movement to static areas.
Well, that was another thing about this one. So I've done pointillism, which is the dots of wax. This one in particular is dashes of wax.
Okay.
And so what's been fun about trying that is that you can do them directionally and create movement.
Which in my brain just now kind of went to Van Gogh and how he would create little movements in the sky with these little elongated, instead of dots, a little elongated
exactly.
line. That's fabulous.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Jonathan, let's talk about one more of your piece, and that's the flowers here. Tell us about this one.
This is actually a very recent piece. I've just been diagnosed with macular degeneration. I'm losing my eyesight. I won't go blind, but I've already got a blur in the center of each eye. So, undaunted, I'm pushing on with my batik because it's the thing in the world that makes me happiest. And I've changed my approach. I'm working larger. I'm thinking of color much more than I ever have before.
All right.
I'm trying interesting mixes of complementary colors within this, like turquoise and orange, mauve and orange, colors that normally you wouldn't be able to put together. I figured out how to do it in batik. So I'm working larger so I can see, and I'm working with less detail, but I'm kind of sailing on.
But
it's
the
not
good thing
cramping my style at all.
But you're also growing and exploring, which keeps it fresh for you, right?
Still,
out of necessity, maybe, but right?
It's still a fabulous adventure and an exploration, and there is no mastery of this art, Ricky. It's like unmasterable. It'll always get you in the end. But there are whole areas still to get into and to try, and I'm working more prolifically than ever. We're both doing a huge amount of work right now.
That is fabulous. All right, Beth, one more from you. Tell us about this one.
This one, I started out with the center bit of it with the water and the leaves. And it's a common theme of mine is to do floating leaves in the water, because I see a lot of that. And I like to look down when I'm in the forest and really see what's the small things that are happening, the things you usually step over. And I think this is one of those. And I really liked the reflection of the golden aspen leaves in the water. So I brought the gold and floating in amongst the blue. And then I decided, well, maybe it needs something more. So I did the black and white border around it,
That's
which
cool.
is a little different.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Because it's
It's a good
keeping it
effect.
fresh for you as well.
Yeah.
All right, so now, the real reason I'm here is to talk about this amazing endeavor that Jonathan, you're spearheading with other batik artists around the world. And I had to have everybody kind of just grasp what batik was, and they needed to get to know you. But I need you to now tell us about the Year of the Batik, where the vision came from, what you're hoping to accomplish with this massive worldwide endeavor. Just give us the whole spiel.
It is a way too ambitious project, actually. I worked in batik all my life, and I got sick of people never knowing what batik was. So I thought, one last push, get the boulder up the mountain. It was a flip idea at a Batik Guild meeting I was at. Let's have a Year of Batik. Let's promote batik, publicize batik, legitimize batik as a real important art form. And to my kind of horror, it took off. So we're having shows all over the world simultaneously in this year. We're starting off with a big show in Florida. We have a show in England. There's going to be shows in Italy. Where else have we got?
Was it
Spain,
Brazil or was it
South America. There's going to be one, and we're putting on here at your old building,
Yes.
which is next door to us, the very first all-American batik show. And there aren't that many batikers in America, but we know them all. And we picked 20 of the best, and we're inviting them to come and show next door.
Right, you guys, this is La Vita, Colorado, one of the tiniest little hamlets in southern Colorado. So pretty good things that are happening right here. And I had to say that in case you didn't know where here was. But,
Right.
but that's really exciting. So how many people are in the Batik organization? I mean, is it...
The Year of Batik,
Yeah.
4 or 5.
4 or 5. But that's movers or shakers, right?
We're-
There's more artists.
Yes, there's many.
Yeah.
What we're discovering, there are artists all over the world we never knew about who are coming out. We built a huge new website. It's very ambitious.
And what that is what? The
It's
website?
called-
And that is batikinternational.com.
Batik.
www.batikinternational.com.
Okay.
It's a batik site to collect and collate all the shows, all the workshops. Artists have a space to talk, to discuss, to show their work. It's a hugely active and growing website every day.
And the Batik Guild has been a big sponsor of this also.
Okay.
That was censored in Britain. It's now gone worldwide. I'm actually the chairman of the Batik Guild, and they've gave us the money to build a website, so they've been very
That's
supportive.
great.
Plus, we've got many more members for them through it, so it's been reciprocal. It's worked for both
That's
of us.
wonderful. So if people suddenly go, oh my gosh, I either I want a batik painting, or I want to get involved, or I want to learn more, or I want to contribute to the cause, do they just reach out through the website?
Go
Is that
to the
best?
website. There's an email set up there for them to write to us, and they're doing it every day. People saying, I'm doing a show, can you help me? How can I get involved? How can I meet more members? How can I meet people? And it's kind of bringing batikers together all over the world in a way that really didn't happen before.
That's
It was
wonderful.
very, Beth was lonely as a batiker for years.
Okay.
I was totally alone for years doing
Yeah.
my batik. We found each other, and I think through the Year of Batik, batikers all over the world are meeting each other now. So the Italian batikers have found each other, and they're putting their own show on. African batikers have found each other, and they're putting shows on. It's working like that. So it is kind of working.
Just fabulous. I'm hoping that some of these shows, that some of the images can get compiled into a gallery, so that if I can't go to Africa, or if I can't go to England to see the show, it would be lovely to be able to see.
It's happened already.
The
Go
works.
to www.batikinternational.com.
That's
It's all there.
fabulous. That is
Yeah.
just wonderful. Well, my hat's off to you guys for everything. You've been great neighbors. Kind of it's a bittersweet thing for me to not have my building next door But
Yeah, I'm sorry we're not doing it with you, but we are doing it with the Estelle
but-
Center.
Yeah, it's at the Estelle Center of Creative Arts.
Yeah. And they're also, helping us put this on, so they're also a sponsor of the show here.
That's
And
wonderful.
So,
it's truly wonderful and
mention that.
bittersweet for me, but change is change. And like you were talking about, Jonathan, with macular degeneration, there you have to make changes, and if we fight the change, it's not healthy.
It
it's
makes
not
it
good.
worse, doesn't
You
it?
have to find a way to go with the flow, and that's certainly what I'm doing. And I'm so excited that you guys are doing what you're doing with Batik. And we're going to have you back on the show for real.
Very
and,
good.
and
Well, and we miss you being our neighbor, and you were always so supportive and always there, and we definitely
Thank
miss
you.
you.
Plus, Levita has been a fabric textile
it
art
has been.
center.
It is.
I mean, for America, really, it's funny how it's happened.
Right, Judith
But it's
Becker
still
Montano is here
Yeah.
in our industry that people will know her, and she's
Yeah.
been on our show 2 or 3 times, and,
Yeah.
and one of our legends. And then there have been fiber artists, alpaca breeders in the area doing yarns and
Weavers.
all of that.
Mhm.
It's fabulous in this little tiny community, not just fiber art, but the galleries continue to grow on Main Street. So we're this
It's amazing.
kind of little hidden gem here.
And we're hoping that the Batik USA show we're putting on in September will make Levita the Batik Center.
Do you know the
for
dates?
America.
Do you have
Yes.
the dates?
We open August the 31st and run to the end of September.
Okay, and that's next door.
Next
At the
door,
Estelle.
Estelle Creative Center.
So you guys, if you want to come on to Levita, the end of August all the way through September, this would be a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Bring your
Yeah.
pocketbooks.
And
Right.
we'll be advertising. We're doing a
Yeah.
very comprehensive advertising
I'm-
campaign this time.
Excited about this show. I mean, to have, there hasn't been any just American Batik show. Usually, we're included in all these other ones that take place all over the world. But just to have the USA Batikers together, I think is
That's
really
great.
special.
That's super.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you for taking time to visit with me. We're sitting here kind of bundled up because it's winter time
It's a
in
little
Levita,
chilly.
and we're at 7,000 feet elevation, and yep, we know what winter is here, right? You
We
guys.
do.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
Thank you
it's
so
been
much,
great.
Ricky.
Pleasure.
So there's my friends and neighbors, Jonathan Evans and Beth Evans from Levita, Colorado. I'm going to be looking a little bit into the comments for questions. I'll try not to miss any, but I apologize if I do. One question that came in from Nanette says, what commercial batiks are the best in their opinion? Well, they're not with me today. We pre-recorded that interview a few days ago. And I can tell you that Jonathan nor Beth are sewers. They're not quilters. They are batik artists, and their works are generally framed and behind glass. So they don't deal with commercial batiks. I'm not sure that they would even know the different brands of generated bolts and bolts and bolts of fabric. It's not their world. They're in an art world and a fine art world. They might know that, but I could not answer for them. So the bottom line is if you're a quilter and you like batiks and you find a batik that you like, that's the one you need to get. That's my opinion anyway. Let's see if there's any other questions. I see Sandra Dolak, my good friend from Levita, watching today. That's great to see you, sweetheart. I love you so much. Pat has said, I have the captions turned on, and a lot of times when Jonathan says, or Ricky says batik, it comes out as Betty. Yes, of course, this is not a word that a lot of people know, and Siri and other caption generators might not be able to get batik just right. Let's see. Yeah, I see, and Lori has said the same thing. Didn't realize it was pre-recorded. Also, there was somebody that said, can you get the microphone closer? This was not a professional interview. This was just us getting a chance to talk, and we turned our phones on and captured it the best we could. Hello, Silka. It's good to see you as always. Anybody else have any other questions that you might want to know? I can tell you that when I was a young quilter, going to the shows, there would be some vendors, and they would have batik like figures, masks, those, I say mask like an African face or something done with batik. And I would buy those panels because I loved them, but I didn't know how to use them. I did ended up using some of them in my quilts. But the kind of batiks that you're looking at with John and Beth,
literally, you guys, two of the best in the world. And I'm not just saying that. They are as high up as you can get when you're talking about batik artists. And so this wonderful thing with the International Year of Batik, I'm going to encourage you to stay tuned because we're quilters and we love fabric. I've promised Jonathan Beth that we would do what we can to let you guys know about exhibits and so forth. And, there's not going to be that much in the United States. So if you want to see this firsthand, I would start putting now Southern Colorado on your September travel calendar so that you can get here. Now, you're not going to have any trouble finding it. If you get to La Veta, Colorado, ask anybody where's the Shalla Walla Gallery or where's the Batik or where's the artist or whatever. We're just like one block. You can't miss it. So that'll be fun. So Sue said that batiks are great for using front or back. Yes, they are, but I would encourage you not to use a multi-$1,000 art painting for your quilt. Purchased an ocean scene for batik in St. Kitts many years ago. That's great. I have batiks that I did in high school in the 70s. Can you or anyone tell me how to press it so it can be displayed? I don't want to ruin my iron with the wax and the fabric. Kathy, I am not a batik expert, and Jonathan and Beth are not with me today. I would encourage you just to go online and see what you can find out there just by asking Mr. Google. But also, I know that you can go to International Batik International, I think batikinternational.com, and send a message. They have emails. Say, how do you remove the wax from the work? And they will happily help you with that. Where do you stay in La Veta? I guess the question is, where do you stay when you come to La Veta? There are numerous Airbnbs. There are B&Bs and the La Veta Inn, and then there's other hotels in Walsenburg that are nearby, which is only 15 minutes. You will not have any trouble finding a place to stay in La Veta. Another place that we love quite a bit is called Two Fox Cabins, which are individual wonderful little units down by the river. And if you happen to be an RVer, there are like 3 RV little places to stay here in town as well. Again, that's a Google snoop. You can go find any of that kind of information by just snooping around. La Veta is Laveta. We say La Veta as if it's an I. It probably should be pronounced La Veta, but it's Veta, La Veta, Colorado. There's only one La Veta in the United States, so that's kind of fun. Yep, somebody's saying there's hotels, cabins, and trailer parks in La Veta. They do give workshops. That's something to talk with them individually. They only have space for like 3 or 4 people at a time. So if you have a group that you would like to come to La Veta with, reach out to Jonathan and Beth. Shalla Walla Gallery, you can go on Facebook and find that as well. Shalla Walla Gallery, and I had a picture of that right at the beginning, so you can find the spelling. I don't want to spit it out of my mouth because I'll get it wrong, but there is a picture of their gallery right at the beginning of this entire recording. And you could reach out to Jonathan and Beth via Facebook. If you wanted to bring a group of like 3 or 4 people, I think they would accommodate you. That's probably going to happen in the late spring, summer months because it's too cold right now here. They might be able to do it. I'm sure they accommodate anybody. I use Batik a lot. I buy it in the Bolt. Never have issues. I've never bought from these people. These are not, so Jonathan Beth do not make yardage. They do not make quilters fabric. They, as you saw, they make works of art that are meant to be framed and displayed on the wall. I will say that Jonathan and Beth met my good friend Helen Godden from Australia. She was here and she was very inspired. And Jonathan had some portraits, some different batik things that he felt didn't necessarily rise to the standard that he wanted. They weren't horrible by any standards. Helen put those together and she quilted that, sent that to Houston, and that won first prize at the International Quilt Festival about 8 years ago. I'm guessing that was when that happened. The important thing that I'm trying to tell you guys is that Jonathan and Beth are not making fabrics for quilters. They're making works of art. And whenever we say the year of the batik, they are trying to highlight batik artists that do batik as a fine art form, not what we do when we think that we're cutting it up to use it for quilters fabric. Can I explain the pinpoint type of waxing? The thing is with batik, the way it works is like you start with white fabric and you put drops of wax, or you draw with a little line of wax, and that wax soaks into the fabric so that when you put a light, very delicate yellow, it dyes the fabric yellow, but it does not dye where the wax is. Now you've got white and yellow, and if you put wax over the yellow and you put a little bit of orange on, now you're going to have a little bit of white, a little bit of yellow, and now everything else is orange. So you're getting darker and darker and darker. With Beth, she's using little droplets and little kind of elongated droplets to do her pointillism. Very, very time-consuming and very, very intricate work. So go back and look through some of the images that I shared, and that will help. There is not a difference. Batik is batik. The question is Japanese wax style. Batik is batik. So batik is a process of doing dye resist using wax. So any process that is dye resisting the wax resisting the dye is a batik process, regardless of the different style that you call it. I'm going to guess that the Japanese style has more to do with design than it does with process, but I am not the expert. So late, will you have to watch the recording? Yep, go watch the recording again. You will love it. Great explanation of the batik process. I'm not a batik person. Mostly what I'm doing for you guys is letting you just get a taste of what we hope to be sharing with you over the course of this year. And it would be great to see you come to the show in La Vida. That would be a fabulous thing just to do. There's lots to do in Colorado. The Rocky Mountain Quilt Museum is up in Golden, Colorado. So you could be up in the Denver area. You could come down to the area here in La Vida in southern Colorado, and you could kind of make a wonderful little tour of it. And I will tell you, September is a lovely time to be in Colorado. All right, you guys, thank you for sharing your day with me. I have had a great time sharing my friends Jonathan and Beth with you. Do rewatch, because I'm sure it was hard to absorb all at once. So once this is over, it will be posted both on Facebook for the Quilt Show and on my Facebook, and also on the YouTube channel for the Quilt Show. So you'll find this, and I hope you'll watch, enjoy, and just learn more about batik. We're gonna do the best we can to highlight it this year. You guys take care. Thank you so much. You're awesome. Thank you for being part of my creative family, and let's stay connected. It's going to be a great year for 2024. Wishing all the people that have been in snow, wind, tornadoes, flooding, Tennessee, guys, our heart go out to you, and I hope that you're safe and okay. Take care.